Today, I'm actually going to go over a few points. And these are the points on what I believe players need to prioritize their wealth in order to achieve their goals in Guild Wars 2. Point number one, let's talk about how gold works. I think this is probably the best thing to start with because generally some people don't understand how this game's gold system functions. So the way this game works is different from other MMOs. Guild Wars 2's gold or item reward system is weird. Most of the time when you're doing anything in the game, you're going to get rewarded through materials or items to sell. As in, very rarely will the game award you gold. There are instances where you do get gold, but it's far less compared to just getting materials and items. That's most of the time what you get in this game. Then, what you do with those items, you will usually then do an extra step of going to the trading post and you might have to sell them. So let's say you finished a certain event or you did a certain activity in the game, right? And you got these items. Instead of just getting the gold, you have to then list it on the player trading platform, the trading post. And then from there, you'll get your gold, right? You list it and then you wait till it sells and then you'll receive your gold and you can go pick it up later. And there's a 15% listing fee. There's a 5% for listing the item, which you never get back. And then there's an exchange fee, 10%, which you get after it sells. It gets taken away. This actually helps with pretty much balancing the game, and it's a gold sink, one of the gold sinks of the game. That's generally how it works in Guild Wars 2. You get items, and most likely you're going to have to sell them to get gold. So whenever you do something in the game, and you notice you haven't made that much gold, your gold itself did not rise, that means it's all in your items. Now, this can be confusing because while you're doing stuff in the game, you're not just going to get materials. You're also going to get currencies because certain areas in the game have currencies applicable to those areas. Meaning, if you were doing certain farms in an open world map, and let's say that open world map, this was the currency, Volatile Magic. This, you have to figure out what can you do with this, right? So for example, with Volatile Magic, I could use this to trade for an item called Trophy Shipment Boxes. I can then take those Trophy Shipment Boxes and open them up. And by opening them up, I get materials called Tier 5 and Tier 6 materials. Meaning I can then use those to make items. So this is generally how the gold system works, just to give those as an example. So we've given the currency example. I've given an example of doing an activity that will get you materials. And there are cases where you do get gold. You could kind of sum up all of this in three things as well. The types of things that you'll get. There is account value, right? So the value of account will combine everything that you have in your account plus things that are generally bound to the account, meaning that you cannot send any of these items to players. These are only for you to keep. You can never trade these to other players. The only thing that you can send is obviously raw gold. Which brings me to my next value, raw gold. This is just the gold that you have in your wallet. And the third value is liquid gold. Liquid gold is all items that are tradable on your account. So anything that you can take and list on the trading post is technically referred to as liquid gold. That's how gold works. Now that we're done with that, point number two. Now, why do players struggle getting what they need? The problem with this is because of what I just explained, a lot of players get confused. They'll spend hours and hours of farming and then they'll notice that their gold amount didn't go up. And there are a lot of, tools to track your farming in the game, your hours of gold farm, such as Guild Wars 2 Efficiency. It's a great website. Guild Wars 2 Efficiency, it has a farming tracker. And if you click on that farming tracker, it will then track your farming session, as in anything that you get from the game into your inventory or into your account. It will track. And then once you close that, you could see, okay, in 2 hours, I made, let's say 40 gold. Now, the problem is visually, you don't get 40 gold in your inventory. That's all through a mix of materials and items and currencies and a bit of raw gold itself. So that's one of the problems that I think players struggle in, is because it's kind of confusing. Second is poor planning. It's actually simple. A lot of players just don't know how to plan. It's things like, for example, knowing if you're going to start working on an item in 1 month from now, right? And let's say that item has quite a long list of things you need to do beforehand. Well, if you actually planned it right, you can maybe at least get 20, 30%, however long it takes, of some of that item, so that when you actually get to that item, you don't have to do everything from scratch. So planning, yeah, like real life, you need to plan things ahead. And especially with time-gated stuff. Like if you start on time-gated stuff on your daily routine, or you don't have to do it every day, but if you do it almost every other day, you could literally save yourself time ahead. Second, failing to prioritize needs. Okay? That's the problem. This is literally the whole reason why this video exists. People have no idea how to prioritize what they need in the game. And I say this because most people would rather save the gold because there's a shiny little Black Lion skin later, rather than the legendary armor or weapon they're going to work towards like 2 months from now. Like that's a common thing. I don't know why, but it is. But yeah, prioritizing needs is actually the main point, is that I'm probably going to spend some time to discuss on. So for example, this is also in line with another point. I'm going to condense these into two: failing to prioritize needs and opportunity cost. And I actually saw this example. I'm actually going to bring up this video right here. This is actually a video from Teapot. So in this video, just context-wise, Teapot basically in this video, Teapot was working on, I think, getting stat selectable gear, right? It's something he actually does later in this video. So he immediately goes to buy stuff from the trading post, okay? And someone later in the chat, I was actually on, I saw the stream live. Someone later in the chat asked him, why didn't you complete this specific, I can't remember the living story, but they literally asked him, you could have completed a specific living story to get one item of an armor. I don't remember which one it was, but it was like not even a full armor set, just one item of an armor for free. They were like, but it's free. Not realizing like spending, 12 to 14 hours to get one item when you could have just spent a few, not even a few, maybe 2 hours doing like fractals, get enough gold to literally just get the stuff that you need now. This is a good example of opportunity cost and prioritizing needs. Likewise, in the same video, I think Teapot needed runes. Later, he needs runes in this video. So let me just skip to that part. This is what he does. Something so simple. He does something that's very simple. So he looks at it, 9 gold. So what does he do? He literally starts selling stuff, right? Although he sells instantly because he's kind of, impatient. So don't do what he just did. Don't insta sell. That's definitely what I'm trying to teach. So he goes to his bank and he just starts selling some of his materials. It's so simple. It's something so simple, but people have a hoard mentality. And this is probably why it's harder to get your needs, is because you go to your bank and you're like, oh, I might need this later. I don't know when, but I might need it later. And so instead of just selling the stuff that you have that you might not need now immediately, you're kind of cutting yourself at the knee by not just getting it now. So instead of getting the item you need, you go do some stuff for some hours and then get the item that you need. You're going to get that stuff anyway. If you're already going to get the items that you need, right, by doing some hours, then just sell what you already have in the bank, and then you'll make whatever you sold in the bank back later. So this is one example, right? And now I look at it. He actually has what he needs and it's done. Very simple, but people keep struggling to prioritize this kind of stuff. And yeah, it kind of brings me to my third point. Hoarding everything. You don't have to hoard everything. Look at your bank. Look at what you have in materials. It's simple, right? Just go to your bank. It's such a simple thing. Great. So, just go to your bank and check what you have. You don't need to find something for 6 months. Like if you're going to go for a legendary weapon, if you know you're not doing that for 3 or 4 months, why do you have all the excess materials, right? If you know you're not going to do a legendary weapon in 3 months from now, but you have the materials to make it and more, so you have an excess, sell the excess, because 3 months later, you'll probably make that what you sold back. You'll probably farm it all in your game time. You're like playing the game. So you don't need to hoard anything. The excess always sell. I don't mind if you save, like, let's say a stack of this, a stack of that. It's fine to have a reserve, especially if you know ahead what you're going to work on 3-4 months. But there's no need to save like another stack of bloods or, you know, metal ingots or any of that stuff if you know you're not going to do anything besides that one legendary 3 months from now, right? Sell the excess. It's fine. You'll make it back in the 3 months. It's not a big deal. So to cap the second point, yeah, poor planning. If you don't begin the time-gated stuff immediately, because you know eventually you need to do that. And some of this stuff like is related to metas, like HOT metas have some things that you need. And also using them for some time-gated materials as well, like Leyline Sparks, Auric Dust, things like that, Bottle of Airship Oil. I understand not everyone does HOT metas, but if you already know you're going to do or need those items at some point, maybe work on it from now. You know, I don't think you need to do it every day. Like you honestly don't need to do all of that every day, right? You could do it like once a week, twice a week. Work on getting maybe some of it done. Like, you know, 20-30% is fine. You don't have to, I'm not asking you to do 80%. No one, you know, do whatever you are comfortable with, right? 20% is fine. If you have 20 or 30% of what you need already done beforehand, when you actually eventually get to doing what you need to do, it's easy. It's a bit easier at least, right? You're saving yourself more time. Failing to prioritize your needs is probably the biggest factor here, right? Again, if you're making that weapon 6 months from now, but you need something right now, like let's say you want a legendary axe in 5 months, but for some reason, you're like, well, you know what? I need that because I need some materials and I need some gold because I actually need to get myself my armor now. I'm almost complete with my armor now. So don't hinder what you're working on now because of something you need to worry about 5 months from now. That's a problem for later. Worry about what you need to do now than later. Opportunity cost. Yeah, calculating opportunity cost is important. Try to actually look at what you're doing, right? No matter how many times someone tells me, it's free, it does not make sense to do 14 hours of a single content to get one free item or even a full free, I don't know, armor set from 14 hours of content when you can grind fractals or do something that has a high effort of gold output, get you gold in 2 to 3 hours and literally just get it in those 3 hours. There's no reason you need to do 14 hours of something just because it's free when you could do it in way less of time. Solving this. Point number 3 is pretty much, I've already explained some solutions, but yeah, how do you solve this? Again, focus on the now, not later. Information is key. This is actually a very good point. Actually, this point, I only put it in because I saw this from another Teapot video. Okay? This one right here. You can't know what materials you don't need if you don't know what materials you do need. It's quite simple. You have no idea what you need to work on if you have no idea what you actually need to work on it. Very simple. Information is key. Go wiki, right? Google it or something, or go ask on Discord. Ask in the in-game chat if you really want to keep it in-game because it hurts your role-playing experience. I don't know. For some reason, If that's the case, that's fine. But ask, go, research, right? Do a little bit of info searching. Then you'll not need to struggle, right? You won't have this question of like, wait, do I sell this? Do I keep this? I don't know, right? It will be very simple. That way, let's say you have, you're working on your legendary bolt, right? Let's say you're working on the legendary bolt. Great. What do you need to keep for legendaries? Legendary bolt requires T6 materials, some mystic coins, ectos, will require like legendary bolt specific materials, right? Like, you'll need like mithril, platinum, orichalcum, and one other piece of metal. I can't remember it now. Anyway, and other stuff. If you already know that's the items that you need, then you know where to look in your bank. That means you can go to your bank right now, click. Oh, dark steel. Yes, that's the other one. So, platinum, dark steel, mithril, orichalcum. I know I need to keep 250 of each of those. I have 2,500. Well, maybe I could sell some of these. Let's say I'm missing mystic coins. Let's say I don't have mystic coins to get my legendary bolt because I need it for clovers. Okay, well, what do I have on my bank that I could sell that I don't need for bolt right now to get some mystic coins? So I can go on the trading post and put some buy orders. Stuff like that. It's so simple, but it literally saves you the headache. And consistency. That's literally the last point. Just be consistent, right? Just follow something, right? Do it once a week, twice a week, however you want. Be consistent, right? If you don't really touch raids, then okay, fine. What else do you play? Open world? Great. Look at what you need in the open world that can get you what you need, right? Fractals. Fractals is actually a daily good gold maker. I actually think, regardless, you should get into fractals. It's pretty easy content for the most part. If the CMs are not your thing, that's fine. You could still do the tier 4s and get some good stuff. It's like an hour of your time, 40 minutes if you're with like a really good group or your own friends, Recs are a big value as well. They pretty much give you even extra bonus as well, since they are requirements for the day, right? So whatever it is you got to do, fractals, raids, open world, DRMs, PvP. PvP is a good gold maker. Whatever it is, be consistent. Having the information gives you the ability to know what you'll focus on later, so that eventually when you get to it, you already have most of it done. It's quite simple. The last video I want to reference is, most of what I discussed, but it's this video right here from...
You probably won't make...
Oh, I didn't mute this. It's Laranity's video. Just check your material storage. You might be rich in Guild Wars 2 without realizing it. Literally check your bank and check anything else in the video that she mentions through Guild Wars 2 efficiency. This is like the biggest saver that you could have in the game. Guild Wars 2 efficiency. This has all the things that you have in your account stored here. You could check your account value, the currencies you have, everything on your trading post, all the things that you have to make a weapon, and it has the shopping list. You literally have a shopping list for Bolt right here. You could literally go on Bolt and check, what do I need for Bolt? Okay, this is my entire shopping list. Done. And if you have the API key linked, all you got to do, right? If you have your API key, you have to go on your Guild Wars 2 account, get an API key, and then link it to efficiency. If you have your API key linked, you could literally click use all materials. Click yes. It literally tells me all the materials I will need to use from my own bank, my own character. Look, I pretty much can make this right now. I can make Bolt right now because this character has the materials, or this specific account has the materials to make it. Done. Guild Wars 2 efficiency is probably the biggest tool. So that's the last point I'm going to end with. So to sum up what we just talked about, right? How gold works. Materials need to be sold to make gold. Some of those materials will be used through your currency, your inventory, right? Your wallet. They will act in your wallet, and these are account bound. There's 3 types of values in the game. There is account bound value mats, as in items that are bound to your account. You cannot trade them out to other players. There is raw gold. That is basically just the raw gold in your wallet. literally just the gold over here. Then there is the final step, which is liquid gold, which is anything that's tradable on your account to other players or to the trading post. Why players struggle getting what they need? Again, plan. Make sure you know what to prioritize, right? Prioritize your gold for the item that will help improve your gameplay, not the Black Lion skin that you're trying to save up for 2 months later. Learn opportunity cost. It's better to do something in a few hours, maybe could be more intensive, than something for, triple or quadruple the amount of time it will take just because it's free. Opportunity cost, the more time you spend on something, the more you're losing on doing something else that could be better. Learn opportunity cost. Don't hoard everything. Simple. But that's it. That's the video. Thanks for listening to my trade talk.